Hello everyone, we are back with our next session. So in recent times, we have seen boom in media tech startups, media tech technologies. The similar boom was seen post demonetization in fintech, right? And this is the question: is media tech going to be the next fintech? So to take you through, to talk more about this, we have Nishant Radia, the co-founder of Viduli. Over to you, Nishant. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Gaurav. Welcome, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I think if you guys have been following the earlier sessions, there's been a lot of interesting talk around how media and technology has blended. So the session today is about MediaTek, can it be the new fintech? And I think it's been about a year and a half ago when I first read this headline that MediaTek, can it be the new fintech? And I truly believe that 2020 has kind of shown us that whatever notable change there's in business and innovation, it can all happen, it can all reveal when people are truly online. And I think this is the time period when everyone is online and we're able to see a lot of those things. So I believe MediaTek is the new fintech. So the fintech revolution typically started in 2015, right? When demonetization happened and all the banks, all the lenders, everyone started using technology as an underlying infrastructure. And today, media has joined that bandwagon. And not just media, it's edtech, it's health tech, and everything. So before we start the session, it's important to understand how we're defining media, right? Because media means different things in different parts of the world. Some place, if you go and say media, it's news. Some places, social media. So today, when we focus on media tech, we're going to talk about three things. One is the audio streaming, including podcasts, which is the world of your Spotify, Gaana, Saavn. The second is video streaming, which includes your social video platforms, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and your video streaming apps as well. And third, we're going to focus on gaming, which is esports. So we just have about 15 to 20 minutes. So I think we're going to stay focused on these three categories and these three formats and how technology blends across all of this. And what is the result? How do we say that technology is actually working? Because right from the immersive experience and the UI when you watch a video on your smartphone to the algorithms and the suggestions and recommendations that you get when you're listening to a music playlist, and how well the communication and the gameplays span out in today's gaming and esports. So technology has actually blended very well across all the media formats from a publisher side of it, right? So publishers have been trying a lot of these things. Technology is important. But when we go on the other side of the table, when we talk about advertisers, for them, the definition of technology in their campaigns is use of more automation, more in-video, more optimized video formats, AR, VR, which we've been hearing throughout the morning sessions. And lastly, data and analytics. How we're able to kind of build consumer journeys, understand the intent and the affinity of an audience. If I'm creating a content, there are two ways. Either I believe in the content, I'm creating it and then kind of showcasing it to the world through different mediums, or I'm doing an initial research saying that what I want to do is I want to create a piece of content for 24-year-old men in Delhi, right? I need to understand what all they like, what are their consumption patterns, and then I create a piece of content. Once that is created, technology kind of comes into play to make sure that we're able to kind of take that content to the right audiences. So it's a great amalgamation of both consumer insights, data, how it has grown, along with all the platforms that we have right now. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to push up a couple of slides here. And we're not going to divulge too much into generic gyan. But what I'm going to focus on is I'm going to take up podcasts. I'm going to take up overall video consumption on YouTube. And I'm going to take up gaming as a category and show you how things have changed during the COVID and the lockdown scenario, as well as in the last 1 year. What are the couple of insights that have come up? And if you're a creator or a marketeer, what are the data points you can focus on? Identify white spaces which you can kind of utilize to grow. So I'm going to share my screen. Right, so I hope my screen is visible to everyone, right? So the first slide, right, what we've done is we analyzed the first 1 month, 1st March to 21st March, pre-lockdown, and 1 month after the lockdown. And what we saw across social video platforms, and by that I mean YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, there's an 8.4% jump in overall viewership on the platforms, a 20% jump in people subscribing to more content, and about an 11% jump in content that was being uploaded. Now, ideally, I'd like to tell you that it has like how content pans out on social video platforms. Quarterly, there are certain seasonal trends that certain at this time a certain category performs well, at this time a certain category does not perform well. But during the entire year, we never have a month where we see a 20% jump in people subscribing. Like viewership still has a lot of jump, but this kind of clearly shows you that how well people were hooked onto content that they eventually ended up subscribing and following a lot of pages. Now, these are the top 10 categories of content that's been consumed on social. Now, what we saw post-lockdown was that all the categories other than music saw a huge jump in viewership, where it was led by news and politics, which is quite obvious, followed by food and recipe, information, and gaming. Now, out of the 14 categories that we have in general, I think the post-lockdown phase was the first time when gaming as a category entered into the top 10. And coming back to music, which saw a 9% decline in viewership, the only reason were two. One, T-Series has about 100 million followers on YouTube, and it kind of takes over a big chunk of the music audiences. They, for the first time, saw a huge dip in viewership because of less videos being put out as well in the first quarter. So that kind of contributed to the 9% dip. And secondly, when we look at music across regional content, during the lockdown phase, including the first quarter as well, there was a lot less content that was produced, which kind of also led to a dip in music as a category. Now we're expanding the top 10 list, and I want to show you what are the categories that kind of grew during the lockdown phase, what are the categories that remained steady, and what are the categories that saw a dip. And I think it is pretty obvious from here, apart from music, travel and leisure, fashion and style, business and finance saw a dip in viewership. DIY, education now has picked up a lot, but when we analyzed the first month, it was pretty much stagnant as compared to the pre-lockdown phase. And all the above genres saw a huge jump in both subscribers as well as viewership in terms of performance. Right. So that was about the overall video consumption. Now we talk about podcasts specifically. What we did was we analyzed YouTube as a platform. And over the last 1 year, we've seen over 6,000 plus uploads in the podcast category, driving about 1 million engagement and 52 million views. Now, YouTube is again not a prime platform for podcast, but to kind of keep the focus on video, we analyzed it. And when you can see what are the categories of podcasts that are being consumed most. Number one, stories and poetries, followed by a lot of religious and motivational content. Then we have topic-specific podcasts, majorly interviews, chat shows, discussions, and so on and so forth. And if you look at all the graphs, you'll see that the engagement on motivational and religious is surprisingly high as compared to all the other categories, which might contribute more to viewership and might have more uploads. But motivational and religious content actually drives a lot of engagement. Breaking it down into language in India, what we see right now across all platforms is Hindi is the major language in which most of the content is created, garners the maximum viewership and engagement, followed by English, followed by regional languages. And within regional, Bengali kind of holds the number one spot, followed by Tamil, Malayalam, Telugu, Kannada, and Gujarati. And right now, if you see the way in which podcasts are going, when it comes to English and Hindi podcasts, Spotify has started investing a lot in India specifically, but platforms like IWM Buzz and Avas.com are also growing. And that's why you see the uploads in the regional category are not far from either Hindi or English. So I think it's early times. And if there's any creator out there who wants to start a podcast series, I think if you have the ability, you need to focus more on regional languages. Also, because with a lot of these platforms and now with more mobility, regional content is also getting a lot more engagement. So even for an advertiser to kind of invest in podcasts, regional languages becomes an interesting bet there. Now we analyze the audiences as well. The first important thing which we have is 4 into 5 podcast listeners today are male, majorly in the age group of 25 to 34 and 35 to 44. And this also kind of ascertains our fact that the audience who's consuming podcasts, what else are they interested in? What are their affinities? It comes to music and dance, educational, motivation, entertainment, and religious. So out of all of these categories, education, which also, by the way, has kids into it, motivational, entertainment, and religious, everything is pretty much male dominated. So that's why you see right now podcasts, the entire genre is male dominated when it comes to the masses. So I think this is one of the white spaces that as creators and as advertisers is to look at. That if you want to, that there are not many podcasts which are created specifically for the female audiences, which is not the case when it comes to video. So now you have a lot of collectives and a lot of groups creating a lot of original content targeted only at female audiences. But as far as the podcast goes, this is one piece which has not picked up yet. And the third point that we talk about is the gaming genre. I mean, this genre has exploded in the last 12 months. April 2019 to March 2020, we've seen esports as a category generating about 15 billion views, 89 million new subscribers added to all the channels and pages, and over 250,000 uploads in this category. Comparing it to the last year, you see a 28% growth in subs, 47% growth in average viewership, and over 59% growth in cumulative viewership on gaming content. Now, this is the most interesting play, both for advertisers as well as for creators or people who want to start a gaming channel. Gameplays among gaming content ranks number one in terms of viewership, engagement, and uploads. Because it contributes to 70% uploads, the competition is huge right now. So today, if you're playing PUBG and you want to start a channel and you start recording gameplay with a commentary or without a commentary, it's going to be really difficult for you to cater an audience, like gather an audience, as compared to all the other categories within gaming. So if you look at tips, tricks, and comparison, funny compilations, gaming challenges, top specific moments, though the viewership is less in absolute sense, but if you look at the average viewership garnered across videos, it's still higher than gameplay. So if you're someone who's wanting to enter into esports as a category, you might want to start with all the other sectors as compared to gameplay because there's too much competition. But the demand, because the average viewership is high, the demand is equally high to also understand more tips and tricks, to look at more funny compilations as well. So that becomes an important insight to take away from this. Now, when we looked at lockdown, like I said, gaming first time entered the top 10 categories. A 42% jump post the lockdown, 51% jump in subscribers, over 10 million subscribers added in just 1 month, and over 8% increase in uploads. Now, when we talk about uploads and when we look at gaming, these are videos which are just uploaded on different platforms, does not take into account live stream. So live streaming is a whole different game and requires a lot of time to look at it as well. So I think these are the three sectors which I wanted to focus in the 10-15 minutes we've got. To kind of end it, I'll give you a brief overview of what we do. We're 5 years into the business. Vidul is a video analytics platform. We track content and we track audiences across social video platforms. So for us, like I said, if you want to understand how music as a genre is performing as compared to how food as a genre is performing, you can come to us. Or vice versa, if you also want to understand a certain audience set, like in one of the previous panels, someone talked about that if you want to understand what 18 to 24 females are consuming in Bangalore versus consuming in Mumbai in different categories of content, we have the right tools and sets for it. So what we've done is we've created products and tools for content creators, for publishers, for advertisers and brands, giving you a lot of audience insights, content strategy, right keywords, helping you with SEO to grow organically on all platforms, and also helping you with media planning so that you're able to target the right audience on the right platform based on what resonates with your brand. And the last part of it is influencer marketing is something, the virtual influencer segment has been growing a lot. A lot of brands, both new age consumer brands, as well as large scale FMCG, BFSI, everyone is right now collaborating with a lot of influencers across all different platforms. So what we've done is we've created a tool with over 15 filters, helping you identify the right influencers for your brand. We're able to give you a lot of information around the matrices and how the influencer has been growing. But one of the most important things that we do is we also give you information about previous collaborations. So you could look at the complete history of what all brands an influencer has collaborated with and how have those videos performed, which kind of makes you make life easy to make a decision that can drive more ROI for you guys as well.
Great.
So yeah, so I think that's an overview which I wanted to share with you.
Thank you so much for this beautiful insight. Do we have any questions? If you have, please raise your hand or you can type your question in the question window. Okay, we have one question. All right. Oh, can you raise your hand, I think? Ankit? Aniket. All right. Yes, Aniket.
Hey, hi Nishant.
Hey, Aniket.
So Nishant, I was going through your slide. So I have a question. So you said that music saw 9% dip. So is it also due to the fact that more artists were coming online on like Instagram Live or such and not releasing content per se? And my second question is that how do you see the trend with respect to people subscribing to paid content? Like I've been like suddenly hooked up onto the Twitch streaming platform and I've like subscribed couple of uh, channels. So how do you see post COVID times people subscribing to paid content? And also the music part that I told you, that is it because the downfall was because of the fact that artists were coming live and not releasing content per se?
Yeah. So for the first bit, you're absolutely correct. The artist individual music content led by artists contributes to about 35% of the overall viewership that we get in music. So that was definitely one reason. But 65% of contribution is from the labels, and one of the reason is either less production or less inventory. Labels were not able to release too much content during the post-lockdown, which kind of contributed to a massive drop in viewership. And coming to your second question, it's a no-brainer when we look at video content on streaming apps that the consumer spending has increased. Everyone probably has subscription to at least 2 or 3 platforms. But when it comes to gaming platform in India, you are one of the rare people who've subscribed to a couple of Twitch platforms. But based on our analysis, India contributes to less than 2% of paid subscribers to gaming content. So that's why, again, whether it's YouTube, whether it's now Facebook getting into gaming category, or even companies like Filtercopy launching apps like Loco, where now there's streaming happening, majority of it is still ad driven. Because again, the audiences who consume this content is a lot of young audiences less than the age group of 20. So there, I think it's going to take some time before people start subscribing to it. However, that being said, at the same time, the fan donations are at an all-time high for all the live streams that happen. So I think it'll be interesting. Give it a year, and you'll be able to then look at real trends there.
Great. All right, Nishant. Thank you so much. If you have any other questions, we can take it offline. All right.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
for having me, Gaurav.
Yeah,
Thank
we'll
you.
be back with the next session in 2 minutes. Thank you so much.